morning once again, and thank you for staying tuned to Sunrise at Sea right here on CTV. My name is Apollo Sarah, and welcome to the Twitter Jabs Part 2. And this is a continuation from the first Twitter Jabs, where we were talking about and celebrating the life and legacy of the late Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, Speaker of Parliament, who passed away yesterday, the 20th of March 2022. And his death was announced via a series of tweets that the president of Uganda took to his social media and informed the country of his demise and his passing. Well, it is said that the late Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah has been battling an unknown illness for a very long time now. Well, we don't really know or have any formal statements that have been put out to suggest what it was that he was battling with, but some reports did say that he may have been struggling with stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. Well, no barrier arrangements have been released to the public yet. Nothing has formally been issued to the public yet, but we hope and wait. And in studio with me today is a NRM cadet and veteran politician with me to discuss and talk about his legacy as well. And that is Captain Francis Bubble. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me. Since we have distance,
yes,
I just put my thing. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us here. And it is with, deep sorrow that we're going to be having this conversation today.
When you opened, you said it nicely. Yes. We are celebrating his legacy.
Yes.
Of course, relatives and friends and some of us will feel a little bit unhappy about it. But yes, at the end of the day, you sit down and say, well, that's life. And yes, somebody sometime has to go. His has been a little bit early because yes, he's in around 56 years of age and still very strong and a very charismatic leader.
Yes, he was.
I am one of those who really got impressed when I got to know
when
Right
you first
Honorable.
met him or got
in
know
Parliament.
Yes.
Yeah, in Parliament. Whenever he stood up to debate, he was classic. He spoke very well. He knew what he was talking about, and he followed procedure. You see, Parliament has got its own procedures, different. We keep telling people that when you're looking for votes out there, yes, a politician, that's not what they do in Parliament. In Parliament, you follow procedures. There is an adjudicator who is the speaker.
Yes.
He's like a referee.
Yes.
Allows you time and you speak, and in the time allotted to him, he would actually convince the whole Parliament. Now, this is where it is very important. A member of Parliament, one member, can change the whole House.
Yes.
The thinking, depending how you debate. So the idea of being in Parliament is not to walk out, but is to stand up and come up and convince the yes, 400 people now they have, yes, and tell them, listen, this is this and that. Give them the reasons, and the chances are. And Oulanyah was one of those who could change the whole Parliament.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had that ability, and he spoke from a position of knowing, and he had the whole scene.
Yes.
He knew what he was talking about, and that gave us a picture. He was an experienced legislator.
Yes.
At the same time, he had understood the procedure very well. Constitutionally, he was quite aware what was going on. And not only that, when he became deputy speaker, he got more experience because he had the picture,
yes,
of what a parliament should be and the procedure. Now, a lot of people never realize that whilst the speaker is keeping quiet, actually she or he is looking at the whole House, assessing, yes, and knows exact. And sometimes he can interject, says, "Why don't you follow the rules? Why don't you follow the procedure?" And there are certain norms that you must follow in Parliament, and he was on top of it. I would quickly say that he lived ahead of his life.
Time, yes.
He should have been in a different class. Now we have that problem in this country, because you have people who are very well educated, well grounded, yes, in what they do, and they speak above our heads, and sometimes we don't understand them. But Oulanyah was that orator who would be understood by everybody. He was there. He knew how to mix The frequencies he
Yes.
used were correct. Yeah.
Well, during his time in Parliament, and he was the Speaker of Parliament for the 11th
Deputy Speaker.
Deputy Speaker, and then later he became a Speaker. That was in 2021. And during his time, what are some of the achievements you in your perspective that he achieved?
Most of the time he presided, he never had any problem. There's one or two problems, but you know, like the Kiganda saying,
Yes.
is, even the most beautiful person will have a flaw.
Yes.
And the flaw can be brought by not you, but by the circumstances.
True.
And generally, he was a very good adjudicator. He did a good job. But now and then, those who did not understand the procedures
Yes.
also could
Had
give
a problem with him.
Had a problem with him. But he was strictly on the issues, and he did a very good job. And the most important thing here is Ugandans must wake up that leaders come from different parts of this country.
Yes.
And that country, that part where he comes from,
The North, yes.
they've lost a very good leader.
They really have.
He had the characteristics of a good leader. As you know what the good leader is, he had integrity. He was a very nice man. He had the ability to delegate.
Yes.
He had a rapport with people. His communication was excellent.
Yes.
Self-awareness, the way he dressed. But I tell you about dressing. I used to be impressed by his bow tie.
Yes.
And he was not buying those ones you stick on. He actually would buy this bow tie and tie it. Tie it himself. And so one time I asked him, I said, "But can you show me how they do this?" And he laughed. He said, "Captain, with all this experience, you don't know how to tie a bow tie." So, you know, it's that rapport, the kind of, and he showed to me, he said, "It's not very easy. It's a very difficult thing to tie, that bow tie.
Yes.
It's not like the normal tie."
Yes, and that was his signature look.
Yeah, and he was polite. And he learned very quickly. He knew, he would assess. He had influence and empathy. Now, the most important thing that I remember of him is during the impeachment of the East African Legislative Assembly Speaker.
Yes.
Oulanyah, Right Honorable Oulanyah, said, "No, this is wrong. Why are you people doing this to this lady? She has done nothing."
Yes.
And that will go down on his in his legacy.
His legacy, yes.
That he was a very straightforward man, because what the cliques that did it to the other East African speaker did it to him afterwards. So I think we should learn from this, that your legacy can be spoiled by being wicked and vicious to other people. And Oulanyah did not like that. True. He wanted a straightforward point. Therefore, as you celebrate his legacy, like the point you started with, and at the same time, of course, relatives would mourn. The small kids, they are very young. And his relatives, of course, he comes from a humble background. Yes. But he has done very well.
Yes.
I personally think, some years ago, in one of our meetings, political meetings, I said, we must do what they call a leadership drive. In other words, we should not accept anybody who wants to become a leader.
Should not just be a leader.
We should find out leadership drive. They do this in those countries we are copying.
Okay.
You know, we are copying liberal democracy. And they have methods of looking for good leaders. They go out with a net and they fish good leaders, and they groom them.
Yes.
They go into universities, they go into different parts of the country, and among them they find leaders, and they get some very, very good leaders.
Yes.
Now, these are the kind. Now, if I was to go and catch a fish which is to be a leader, Oulanyah would have been number one.
He would have?
Yeah, in my way. He would have been one to be brought in. And this so happened because he came in a different party earlier on. Yes, UPC. And eventually changed. To UPC had some very good cadres, by the way.
Yes, they did.
These cadres had been groomed, and DP. There's some very, very, because these are old parties that knew how to groom leaders. Yes. And there are still many in those other parties. Yes. People should not assume that NRM has got only the leaders. The leaders are all over the country. Yes, they are. We have 45 million. And we are bound to have a small group that can lead us. Yes. The only thing we are missing with him, apart from being the speaker, probably he would have been something bigger than that.
Could have probably gone to even be so much more for this country. So how can we identify and groom more leaders like Oulanyah?
Oh, there are many ways of doing it.
Yes.
You can do it by having honest people who will point out leaders. In fact, there's a book which was written by Geoffrey Archers in Britain, talking about leaders who come up. And they would say one leader is better than the other. And they would look at qualities. These people would start as young people. For example, a party in leadership, in government in Britain, the junior ministers would be the younger ones.
Yes.
And then the ministers of state would be the ones who've grown up a little bit bigger. And then, of course, the cabinet level would have the groomed.
Yes.
And among those, one of them could be the prime minister in the next elections. One of the countries that did that was actually Tanzania. And he really tried to groom leaders.
Yes.
Some fell on the roadside and some went on. The other people who did that in Africa were Senegal. Senegal, a very good example was Abdou Diouf. When the old man Senghor was there, he brought him up in the age of 20 and started making him a junior minister. By the age of 35, he was a prime minister.
Oh, wow.
By the age of 40, he was the president. So you can see somebody can be groomed.
True.
And he did it. Senghor was a Christian, but the man who brought Abdou Diouf was a Muslim. But he realized the man had qualities. We are not looking, these things people use here to confuse issues.
Like what? Which things? Different political parties?
They try to play games.
Yes.
They hide behind division, divide and rule.
And it is not working.
It
doesn't work. At all.
The British came here. When they came here, they found we had our own nations of tribes, if you like, but nationwide. And they kept us that way so that they could easily rule us. They would take one group to be in the administration, the other group in the police, the other group in the army, and therefore there was that divide and rule. But after that, they added on religion.
To make it even worse and more complicated.
Yes, and later on, of course, in the 50s, they never taught us any politics. In the late 50s, coming to 60, they now brought multi-parties. So you can see, we are divided on different levels at different scales, and people are playing with that. It has become but Right Honorable Oulanyah, when opening this parliament some time back, he actually said we are one. So he falls in my thinking, this country must be united.
Yes.
And he used some proverbs, some African proverbs, to try and make the point. And the point is that when you're in parliament, parliament is one. After being elected, you should be able to discuss things that are beneficial to your constituents and the country
at large. Yes.
At large, and therefore he was trying to tell them, look, now we are one. You can disagree to agree, and he did a very good job. And he was in command. He was in control of that part.
Yes.
And to me, that is the greatest thing. We're going to miss him. I've had a lot of time for him. He's a good leader, and this is the nonsense I keep on saying. Leaders come from different parts of this country, and Oulanyah, Right Honorable Oulanyah. If I had a way, maybe in the area where he comes from, they would have had a graveyard for leaders.
Yes.
They should recognize him.
Absolutely.
And he should be a role model
to
other leaders who are coming up.
Yes, he also played a vital role in mediations between the Lord Resistance Army and the government of Uganda during the Kony War.
Oh, there are several of them. The other one is Mao. Very strong people.
Yes.
And they went there, and there was a little bit of agreeing. But the other people had a different idea. You see, there's these boys, by that time they were young. Some tribes don't recognize very young people.
Yes.
But they did a good job, a very, very good job. And we still have a problem. The elite of this country need to be more attached to the grassroots. And we need to really learn the culture. And when I said we are not united, that's what I mean.
Yes.
We need leaders like Oulanyah, or Right Honorable Oulanyah, to unite this country. Now we need to look more of those. We are not interested in these parochial, negative people.
Yes.
There are people, and by the way, they're at all levels. Do not be told lies.
That they're only
There are people who are just negative about our country. But this country is beautiful. What we need is to unite our people. We need people who are serious and people who can make a difference.
Absolutely.
And Oulanyah, our Right Honorable Oulanyah, was making the difference.
Yes. So what lessons can politicians and other leaders in general learn from him and pick from him?
First of all, get interested in what you're doing. Secondly, understand what you're doing. Actually, basically, you should be speaking truthful things. You should be honest. The word is actually honest.
Being honest.
Honest takes a lot of things. Same thing in the Bible, truth shall set us free. Try and tell people the truth. Tell them where we are and what we can do and what we cannot do.
Yes.
And in fact, there's a very nice prayer, I think, which talks about what you can do and what you cannot do.
Yes.
And I think a lot of Africans should look at that prayer. God, give me the strength to do what I can and what I cannot do. I think that's the most appropriate prayer.
All right. When I was going through some of the responses, mixed reactions on social media, a lot of people, of course, did share a lot of, sympathies, sadness and sending condolences. But then there again, other group of people who are as if in celebration to his demise and passing. What message would you have to people like this? Because even Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, before his passing, when it was first rumored that he had been sick, there was even rumors back in July of last year that he may have passed away. And he said that he came out to condemn them and say that why would you celebrate at the news of somebody else's demise? So what message would you have to people like this?
Over the years, I've witnessed some of our people, they have lost direction.
Yes.
And they enjoy wickedness. I call that pure wickedness. And I condemn it. It's beneath contempt,
yes.
Really, at the end of the day. I think Ugandans have to learn there's this new, I think we're losing our culture where there's respect, respect for oneself. Not even the person you're talking about.
Yourself.
You should respect yourself before you, because when you open you see, when I meet you the first time, if you don't talk, I have a lot of respect. Immediately you start talking.
It slowly starts diminishing.
Yeah, then I begin to place
you
you very quickly. And once I've placed you, in my case, I just ignore you. But what you say sometimes can be harmful to other people.
That's true.
And I sometimes, I wonder what people are talking about when they say rights, human rights, this right, freedom. That freedom doesn't mean you should go and poke your finger in people's noses and things like that. And at the same time, the people who started this human right and who are singing them loud actually do not follow human rights. I've been listening to the people in the liberal democracy. Human rights, freedom.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
All that.
And when you go to their own countries, they have got their knee on everybody's neck. They can't allow other people to breathe. And not only that, they shame us. They do things in other people's countries, and then they talk about human rights. Where is the human rights for killing Gaddafi, for killing Saddam Hussein? Where are the human rights? And who sanctioned them? What happened in Afghanistan? What happened in Yemen? Yes. What they did in Libya is something completely unforgivable. They have completely destroyed that country.
And it's still
they are very happy. But I
day.
was happy that one of their presidents said, "Oh, look, I regret the Libyan." But you regret? The whole of NATO went into that place. And you want to convince me NATO is telling us, they are coming here to lecture us about liberal democracy. And this is where I sometimes think, yes, our culture, our African culture, had certain taboos and certain rights. Some of them, of course, were not good, but the good ones
kept us in line.
Kept us in line. They even had a few stories which brought us up. People seems to have forgotten our culture, and they don't respect that culture. But our culture is very, very, very powerful. For example, you take the clans,
yes,
the African clans. You cannot marry in your clan.
True.
The European marry their cousins, and then they get these funny diseases which we've never even heard of.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, the question is, what sort of leadership do we want as Africans? Is that the liberal democracy? Is that the only democracy there is? Time has come for us to start thinking very hard, looking how we used to lead ourselves,
yes,
how we used to rule ourselves. What can we learn from there? What are the lessons? How can we respect each other? How can we forget about this nonsense about tribes and religion and political parties?
All those trivial things that don't really matter.
They're wasting our time. I see them fighting on television, and they go and steal votes. Somebody goes to parliament, he knows very well he didn't win, you know, and he's very proud in a suit and talks a lot of nonsense.
Yes.
I think time has come for us to really even point them out. It's very unfortunate.
It really is. So before I let you go, Captain, any closing remarks? How best can we celebrate the life of Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah? And moving forward, any parting shots for the viewers?
First and foremost, we've lost a very good leader.
Yes.
Very, very important. And therefore, we are in sympathy with the family and the relatives and friends. But on the level of Uganda, we should celebrate this man's passing on.
Yes.
We should use him as a role model. At the same time, we should learn how to respect each other. We should learn what he has been doing, the good things.
Yes.
He's human. Like the Baganda say, even the most beautiful person has got a small flaw.
True.
He wasn't flawless, he was a human, but most of the things he did were quite correct.
Yes.
And the most important thing, he would correct what he'd done wrong.
Yes, that was a good thing about him.
About him, yes. And what he didn't know, he would admit. Now, another person who I see, and in recent time they've been handling him, but it was Mao. Mao came to Parliament, a very young man from the university.
No, but Mao.
Yes, and he was excellent. And he still is. And they virtually, if you looked at them very well, they would go together. There's another guy who was in FDC, very, very, very good guy. These people were good leaders, and they need to be encouraged, not discouraged.
True.
We have a lot of people with very bad manners, and I think they should start respecting themselves, and we cannot keep quiet about this. And I am very particular that this country requires good leaders to move on.
Yes.
We must find solutions to our problems. That's why most of you went to school, so that we can find answers to our challenges.
Yes.
There are many challenges. We have a lot of problems. We have all sorts of people. But the people also learn. And we must learn to forgive. Some of you claim you are very good religious people. It doesn't matter what religion. Every religion tells you to forgive.
True.
And you must ask, you must say sorry and thank you. I recently had a small thing in Parliament about a particular member of Parliament. We've heard that before. But the way we handled it, it turned out to be very good. It united Parliament. So this same thing could unite Parliament again.
Yes.
If somebody could be kind enough to speak. So that's why I was telling you, walking out of Parliament is not the answer. Finding solutions on those challenges is the answer. And that's the only way we can do it. So, CTV, I'd like to thank you very much for having invited me this morning.
Yes.
We've lost a great man.
Yes,
I sometimes wish we had a hero's corner in Gulu, so we can put him in a hero's corner.
We deserve a hero's corner in Gulu to put all of them and line them up.
Yeah,
there.
we have a hero's corner at Kololo, but
Yes.
that is up to government to decide. We
Yes.
cannot decide for them. But Right Honorable Oulanyah, if I had a way to say, I would just say goodbye, and we'll meet again.
All right.
Because we're all going where he's going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a great man. He was a
All
nice
right.
man.
Thank you so much, Captain, for joining me right here on the Twitter Jabs on Sunrise at Sea. If you just tuned in, we are still celebrating the legacy and life of Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. That's the Speaker of Parliament. He passed away yesterday. That was 20th March 2022.
You know, yesterday was supposed to be the International Happy Day.
Yes.
Yesterday.
But don't you think it's... it may come off ironic, but perhaps it is a good day, even though he has left us?
No. He's going. We don't have control over that.
Yes.
But he's going. It doesn't matter which day. You know, God also likes good people. maybe that's why he took him.
Yes.
So I like to celebrate him. Like,
yes.
The word you are using is the right word. Let's celebrate his life. He was still strong, still young. We could have got a little bit more years out of him. But God also wants him up there. Maybe he wants to make him speak up there.
Perhaps. Perhaps God has a position for him up there. Well, please watch. Here is a little tribute and profile on the legacy of Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah.
Jacob Oulanyah was born in the then Gulu district on the 23rd of March 1965 to Nathan Lokori and Karen Atwon. Oulanyah would later attend St. Joseph's College, Layibi, Dr. Obote College, Boroboro, and Kololo Senior Secondary School for his O-level and A-level education before finally joining Makerere University in 1988, where he studied agricultural economics and graduated in 1991. And that very year, he would later enter law school. Also at Makerere University, graduating in 1994 with a Bachelor of Laws degree. He served as Speaker of the University Students' Guild during his stay at Makerere. In 1995, he attended the Law Development Center, where he obtained a postgraduate diploma in legal practice. During his stay at Makerere University, Jacob Oulanyah and then Guild President Norbert Mao are remembered to have led a strike in 1991. During the strike, at least 2 students were killed. Oulanyah, who was Guild Speaker, was among the people who was beaten and hospitalized. Oulanyah started his political career in 2001, where he entered politics by successfully contesting for the parliamentary seat of Omoro County in the then Gulu district under the non-party system, also known as the movement political system. In 2006, standing as a UPC candidate, he lost his re-election bid. In July 2006, he quit the UPC and joined the ruling National Resistance Movement. Later, in 2008, he served as the chairman of the Commission of Inquiry into the controversial sublease of Chiseka Market, one of the municipal markets in the city of Kampala. Later in his political career in March 2011, Oulanyah was elected to represent Omoro County, then in Gulu District, in the 9th Parliament, this time on the NRM ticket. He was elected as Deputy Speaker of Parliament on 19th May 2011. Following the February 2016 general election, Oulanyah was re-elected as Deputy Speaker of Parliament on 19th May 2016 in a vote conducted by secret ballot. He received 300 votes, while Muhammad Nsereko received 115. It would be on the 24th of May 2024 when Jacob Oulanyah was voted Speaker of Parliament in a race against his former boss, Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, and Kira Municipality MP Ibrahim Semoju Nganda. Jacob obtained 310 votes against Kadaga's 197 and Semoju's 15. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, has been hospitalized since February 3, 2021, when he left Uganda on a chartered Uganda Airlines flight to Seattle in the United States for medical attention. His departure preceded a 7-day week hospitalization in Uganda. Oulanyah's cause of death has not been disclosed, although close associates revealed that he had stage 4 cancer. Recently, the Health Minister Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, Democratic Party President Norbert Mao, Chief Justice Alphonse Owiny-Dolo, Deputy Speaker Anita Among and his brother Francis Emuna traveled to the United States of America to visit him after it was reported that he was in critical condition.